What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 8 of the Heat Check podcast. Got a lot of things to talk about. Our first COVID outbreak in the NFL, and finally, the Earl Thomas train is almost to its stop, or maybe not. Some more news came out about that today. But let's get into the NBA. As always, Lakers, Heat. We predicted it, or at least I predicted it. I don't know about you, but I knew the Lakers and the Heat were going to go through. I think we discussed it in our last episode. I like the Heat. The Heat they have the better coach, and they are a more well-rounded team. I feel like when it comes to coming off the bench is where the Heat are going to eat up the Lakers. Starting lineup, yeah, give it to LeBron and Anthony Davis, but take them off the court, Heat got an obvious advantage in my eyes, and I feel like that's where the Heat are mainly going to win this game. That and their defense. What about you?
Are we talking whole series?
Talking whole
I'm
series.
taking the Lakers. I'm taking the Lakers in 6 games,
Mm.
maybe even 5. I'll keep it at 6 for the respect of the Heat. I'm very salty that my Celtics didn't make it to the finals. I thought that would have been a much better matchup with the Lakers, but we got to do what we got to do, and I'm going to take the Lakers. That's the obvious choice, but the Heat can definitely pull through and win it. I'm rooting for the Heat, obviously. But
I think if you're rooting for the Lakers, you're either, of course, a Lakers fan or a bandwagon, and you're just cash nasty. But other big news coming out of LA, a lot of coaches have been getting released left and right. Of course, in the middle of the podcast, we saw Billy Donovan just signed with the Bulls. Mike D'Antoni, we don't know where he's going yet. But Doc Rivers fired, let down as the Clippers head coach. A lot of people blaming this on Kawhi, saying, oh, it's because Kawhi put in a little note saying, oh, it's because of Doc or it's because of Paul George. Keep in mind, yeah, Doc Rivers was able to get it done in Boston. He was there. He ended up coaching that Boston team back in 2008. I think it was 2008, right?
sometime way back when.
Yeah, but I believe it was 2008 when y'all won your last. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I think it
But
was 7. I think it was 07.
Either way, but still, he was your coach. He's been able to get to the championship before, but ever since he's come to LA, he hasn't been able to get past the second round. And you can say what you want, but I mean, he had Lob City and couldn't get anywhere outside of the second. And now he's got Playoff P and Fun Guy, and he can't get anywhere past the second. So it really does show that maybe it is Doc Rivers, maybe he is. He is a good coach, in my opinion. When it comes to the playoffs, no, but when it comes to regular season, I still feel like Doc Rivers is a better option out there. Some people are saying that Tyronn Lue is the best option for LA. What do you think?
I'd honestly rather have Doc Rivers than Tyronn Lue. I mean,
No doubt, yeah.
that just doesn't make sense to me. I think they're gonna keep Doc around, but we're gonna see.
They're not going to. They fired him. They officially
They've announced
let
that
go.
they've fired him. Okay. Well, I don't think Tyronn Lue. I mean, Steve Nash has already signed with somebody who we don't know. Who are the other coaches available?
Well, of course, like I said earlier, Mike D'Antoni, Tyronn Lue, Nate McMillan is out there, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure the Pelicans fired Alvin Gentry. I could be wrong on that, but I do know there are some other coaches out there. Me personally, LA needs D'Antoni.
D'Antoni, yeah.
D'Antoni is the best coach out there. You can say what you want. I feel like it's the players around him that have been given to D'Antoni. It's basically been James Harden. The only other true talent that I've seen be coached under D'Antoni is, of course, Harden and Westbrook and Capella. Those are pretty much the only all-star caliber guys. I mean, Eric Gordon won 6th Man of the Year. That's nothing. That really doesn't say anything about a coach. But yeah, I feel like D'Antoni is definitely. I would love to see them give it a
great
go.
Fit.
But I would not be surprised if they signed a guy like Tyronn Lue, because it's the Clippers. One off season they make great moves, and then the next off season they re-sign their top tier guy to a 5-year extension and then trade him off in the middle of the season. So you never know with LA, but that's pretty much all that's coming out of the NBA. Let's get into the NFL. As always, it's slam packed. Week 3, I'm gonna start off with my hits and misses before we get into the scores. I did not hit a lot. I said Eckler was going to be a stud. He was an absolute stud. I believe he was the running back 3 this week behind Alvin Kamara and your guy Rex Burkhead. 34 fantasy points. Don't know where he got that from, but
no one started him. But
yeah. But Burkhead, unless you're a Pats fan, Burkhead was definitely a guy that's being picked up off the waiver wire for no reason because it's just one game. And then I hit on David Johnson. I said he wasn't going to have a good game, and he didn't really have all that great of a game. Evan Ingram, too, said don't start him. I said not to start Ingram. You shouldn't have, because I think he had like 7. Kaimi Fairbairn, I told you never to trust him. He scores 10, and the next week he scores 3. I told you, don't trust Kaimi. And then, of course, my biggest hit, I started them on my fantasy team, who put up more points than my running back 2 and wide receiver 1 combined. The Colts defense putting up 26 fucking points. That's unheard of. That's what the Pats did. I think the most the Pats put up last season was 20. So 26 from a defense is insane. And then my misses, I missed on Cam. I said sit Stafford. Stafford didn't play too bad. I said start Fournette. He put up 4. I'm very sorry. Hollywood, 2, put up 3. Lamar just had an overall off night. Robert Woods had a good day. Hunter Henry, I'll take back what I said. I said start him. He put up 10, which is okay. He didn't get into the end zone, so I won't really consider it anyone. And then Chiefs defense, I said don't start them. I thought they were going to go into negatives because I thought Lamar was going to continue being Lamar, and they had 7, which is really good to go against one of the best offenses in the league. What about you?
Yeah, my starts last week were actually pretty good, pretty high percentage. Well, I had I said to start Rivers because it's the Jets. I mean, everyone was just playing Colts players like crazy last week, but Rivers had 12.18 points. I mean, that's not good for a quarterback. You need at least 15 as a quarterback, but 12 isn't too bad. It's not like he lost to your week or nothing. I said Jonathan Taylor. I was super high on Taylor. I thought he would get like
Everyone
at least
was.
20.
Honestly,
And he
everyone
puts up
was.
13. He got a touchdown. He got in the end zone. That's good, though. It's good to see that they're putting him near the goal line. But I'm getting sick of this Hines guy. He's taking carries from my guy Taylor. They need to get him out of there. They need to play their stud. They need to play Taylor and get him developed for the future. I said to start Allen Robertson for the second week in a row, and he finally hits. He gets 28 points. Big Dick Foles comes in and just absolutely tears it apart.
Yeah,
Great.
especially with Big Dick Nick back there, he's going to be airing the ball out a lot more than Trubisky is. So if you got Bears wide receivers and you've been investing, especially David Montgomery, a guy that I managed to pick off the waiver wire, don't know how, he's probably going to be seeing a little bit more in the backfield when it comes to receiving, as well as the carries he's been getting on the ground, because, Cohen was their receiving threat, Montgomery on the ground. But now Cohen out for the year with an ACL tear. So if you got anyone from the Bears, good job. If you pick them up for cheap, good job, because now they're going to be getting a lot more volume than under
the
Mitch.
Bears team. I mean, they should have started Foles from the beginning. Obviously, I mean, I think he's better, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. My tight end last week, I started Hunter Henry. He put up 10 points. Mediocre, not good, but it's all right for a tight end. I mean, I'll take 10 from a tight end any day. Butker, I mean, it's the kicker. He got 4 points. Brett, you would know that. He got 4 points. Brett lost it.
I needed 3. Kicker. I needed only 3. And at the very end, that extra point, he barely made it a little bit. And by the way, I believe you said to sit Stephen Gostkowski last week.
No, I said to sit Nick Folk. I said to sit Gostkowski in week 2. But he put up 26.
Yeah, 26 for a kicker, dude.
He made 6 field goals.
If I would have gotten Gostkowski, I would have been like, roll the dice. Give me Gostkowski in the Colts defense. I would, dude. Yeah. You see 25 and 26. You just sitting there looking like those are my running backs.
What a game from a kicker. I mean, that's crazy.
That's
I saw
unheard
that
of.
today, and I didn't even know until today. I was looking at Instagram or something, and I was just like, the hell, 26 points from a kicker. And I checked his stats. He made 3 field goals from 50 plus.
Yeah, that's 15 right there. So
I mean, this guy's back in his Patriot form. He's definitely a good waiver wire pickup. If nobody has him in the league yet. My defense, I started last week. The Cardinals, they missed. I'll get on to my sits. I said to sit Wentz. I did great on that. He did terrible. I mean, what a joke.
I'll get
it.
We'll get into it later. But Eagles are in a horrible situation. The only bright spot on that team is their D-line and Miles Sanders.
Drop Carson Wentz if any of you have him still on your fantasy team. Just get rid of the guy. It's not worth it. Pick up somebody else off the waiver wire. All right, I sat David Johnson last week. I sat Woods and I sat Kupp. They both did amazing against the Bills. Surprisingly,
Yeah,
Woods and Cup are doing great.
Yeah, at first it looked like a good choice, but then all of a sudden the Rams just came back. They couldn't pull it off at the end because Josh Allen is playing amazing. But yeah, Rams put up a good fight.
Yeah, and I hit / miss on Higbee. Put up 8 or 9 points, I think.
I'd say that's a miss.
Yeah, that's a miss. And then kicker, sat Folk. He got 12 points. Great game from Folk. I mean, I don't trust him still. Don't pick him up. He's not really worth it.
Yeah.
And then I sat the defense of the Bears defense, and I hit on that because they didn't do too well.
Yeah. So now let's get into the games. Let's review quickly. Like I said earlier, LA Buffalo was a really good game, 32-35. I missed big time on Miami versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville, I didn't think they would end up flopping like that, but Minshew let me down.
Bad.
Cincinnati, Philadelphia tied 0-2-1. Both teams are 0-2-1. Once again, we'll get into it later. Actually, let's go ahead and get into it now. Should the Eagles panic? Their O-line is horrible. They are beat up to hell. Their wide receivers, the exact same thing. I mean, Greg Ward, I don't even know who the hell that guy is, but he was our leading receiver. Pretty much, I think they're hopeful for Alshon Jeffrey to return this week. But even then, is Carson Wentz or hell, even Jalen Hurts at this point, are either of them going to be able to have enough time in that pocket? And that's not me excusing Carson Wentz's bad play, because that's the next bad thing about the team. Carson Wentz is throwing, I believe he's throwing for more interceptions than he did his whole last year in these first 3 weeks. It's insane. Carson Wentz has never been on this level of turnover friendly. I mean, he's looking like Jameis Winston out there. I think Eagles should panic. I think it wouldn't be the dumbest thing to put in Jalen Hurts to see how he does. And they're also just not giving it to Miles Sanders enough. I mean, yeah, he's gotten 90-plus rushing yards each game that he started, but you take away the receiving attack, especially when you got Wentz throwing it at their fucking feet or over their goddamn heads. Miles Sanders is your offense. I mean, that's not just me saying it because, I have him on my fantasy team, so I'm hyping him up. No, Miles Sanders is your offense. Zach Ertz is your offense. Why? Because those are the only guys that are healthy. So I think Eagles panic. I had this team going 10-6. I wouldn't be surprised if they go 7-9, 8-8. 8-8 seems like a very high ceiling for how bad and banged up this team is. It'd be one thing if it was just injuries and they were trying to play through it, but they're just playing bad. It's a poorly coached team. I mean, you look at that at the end. Philadelphia didn't even want to go for a Hail Mary. They just punted it. They were fine with tying. What kind of mindset? That is Jason Garrett type mindset.
And against the Bengals, that's a must-win game. That's
a
must-win game for every team.
You tied against the Bengals. Think about that. Doug Peterson is not a bad coach, and yet he just flopped on his back, scratched my belly. Like, I don't know what's going on out there. But yeah, what do you think?
It's just it's terrible for Eagles fans, man. I know they're all mad. I mean, EDP.
He took down all of his stuff.
You guys are losing him. I mean, you can't just have – that was just such bad play calling at the end there. They just decided to punt the ball. Like, what was it, 15 seconds on the clock?
You crossed the 50.
Coming down?
Yeah, you crossed the 50 and do nothing but run.
There. You got to do something there. The Bengals aren't scoring in 10 seconds. So it's just terrible coaching, terrible quarterback play. I mean, that's just one of the worst games. That's going to be one of the worst games of the season.
Yeah, no
Banged
doubt.
up, injured team. Yeah, it's going to be a rough season for the Eagles.
4:00 game, Dallas, Seattle. A great game all the way up to the end. You gave Russell Wilson the ball with 4 minutes left. Once again, our O-line sucked ass. Is this the best O-line in the league, guys? Do y'all still think this is the best O-line in the league? Because it's not. It's one of the worst. And the secondary has given up the highest passer rating on average. We've made Jared Goff look good. Jared Goff is an average QB, and we've made him look good. So this secondary is horrible. But I feel like in all, this team is more banged up than it is bad or lackluster or whatever you want to call it. We really do have some horrible injuries. I am seeing some positives. Dak Prescott, he's leading the league in passing right now. 1,188 yards. The second quarterback of all time to pass for 450-plus yards. 2 games in a row. He had a career high 473 in that game versus Seattle. Russell Wilson, the most touchdowns in the first 3 games of the season. 14 touchdowns. That is unheard of. He's playing great, and Seattle offense is just going insane. Tyler Lockett, career day, 3 touchdowns. DK Metcalf, probably the biggest bozo of the week because he would have had himself an extra touchdown, but Trayvon Diggs, who looks like the only guy trying out there on that Dallas defense, he managed to punch it out. What do you think of that game? I feel like Green Bay Nola was pretty good, but honestly, all games in consideration, I feel like Dallas-Seattle was the game of the week. I think Dallas, once again, puts on a good show.
Yeah, I think that was a really good game. Dallas, don't count on Dallas yet, guys. They've had a tough couple first weeks.
You play the Rams. You play the Rams, Falcons, and Seattle. We played 2 of our most toughest opponents, and then we get like the Browns, the Giants. I think the toughest ones that we have after this are the Cardinals, Steelers, and Ravens. That's it.
Yeah, things will get better for the Cowboys. It's just a rough start, rough schedule. They'll get over these.
But you can't do good in the NFC East and say that you're a good team because this division is horrible.
Yeah,
this division is dog shit.
No doubt, it's the worst division now. Cowboys have an easy path to the playoffs.
We should, especially with the Eagles just forfeiting. Also another good game, Chargers versus Carolina. Carolina pulling the upset. Eckler had a great week in fantasy, but he fumbled the bag at the very end. I believe it was a drag or a slant. Herbert threw it out, and the play was throw it out to, I think, the guy that was in their slot, and then he was going to lateral it back to Eckler, and Eckler fumbled the lateral, ruining their chance. That really does suck for Carolina. Not Carolina. That really does suck for the Chargers. But Carolina pulled up an upset. Mike Davis stepping in for McCaffrey, surprisingly. He had about, 23 points. So if you picked him off the waiver wire, it's a good find. Green Bay versus New Orleans. It was a good game. Aaron Jones got fucking robbed at the goal line. Would have won me the game. He got robbed. I just think he got robbed. But Green Bay, their offense looks amazing. I haven't seen them play this good in a long while. Green Bay's offense looks unstoppable. New Orleans, there's a guy over there in New Orleans who's also unstoppable, who's also earning my offensive player of the week, Alvin Kamara. Damn near 50 fantasy points. Probably could have done it if they would have had the ball longer in the fourth quarter. But 44 points from Alvin, absolutely insane game. And then, of course, Kansas City, Baltimore didn't go the way people thought it was. I thought Baltimore was going to win it because I think Baltimore has a better defense. I still do, but Kansas City.
I can't remember who I picked. Did I pick Kansas City or Baltimore?
I believe we both picked Baltimore.
Yeah,
I believe we both picked Baltimore. And Lamar had a stinker. Lamar did not do good. He had like 90 passing yards. Come on.
Yeah, that was a terrible game by Lamar.
Yeah.
And didn't he fumble?
He fumbled twice. Yeah. But
not a good game by Lamar.
It is not a good game. But of course, I already revealed my offensive player of the week. Why don't you go ahead and get into yours?
I'm going with the same guy. I'm going with Alvin Kamara. Oh, let's see. What did he have? 13 catches, 139 receiving yards, 58 rushing yards.
If your running back leads you in receiving yards with 139, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's such a dual threat. He's one of the best dual threats. Probably the best in the league right now.
Yeah, honestly,
with McCaffrey out.
He's really showing that he deserved that money with his contract. And then defensive player of the week, I think we both are going to be in agreement on this one because it's pretty easy. Xavier Rhodes, a guy who was clowned last year because they said he was one of the worst cornerbacks, according to Pro Football Focus, had a career day yesterday. 2 interceptions, 1 pick six. Sam Darnold looked horrible, and he took advantage of it. Of course, any guy on that Colts defense pretty much played good. You had Xavier Woods, right?
I have Rhodes. Xavier Rhodes, yeah.
Yeah. It hurt me to not put Alden Smith up here, but of course, we didn't win. But I'm going to just go over some stats before we get into some bigger talking points when it comes to this week, and then we'll get into the later weeks. Of course, I already said Dak leading the league in passing. Wilson, of course, passing touchdowns. Rushing goes to Derrick Henry with 319. Aaron Jones, I believe, is tied with a couple of other guys, but he pretty much leads the pack with 4 touchdowns. Receiving, surprisingly, D-Hop is leading. I didn't think D-Hop would be leading. And then Lockett, once again, another one of those tied, but Lockett, he had the bigger week. I'm going to give him the spotlight with 4 touchdowns. Eric Kendricks, 33 tackles so far. I believe that's also he's tied with Devin White and somebody else. And then Jalen Smith is right behind them. Sacks hasn't played in the league for 5 years, and he's leading the league in sacks. Alden Smith with 4
Yeah,
sacks.
very impressive.
It's very impressive. And then interceptions, of course, a guy from Kansas City, Snead, has 2 interceptions. And, of course, Rhodes leads the pack, had a great week, 2 interceptions. But let's get into the big news. Titans, COVID, 3 players from the Titans, 5 personnels. How do you see this ending up?
I pray that it doesn't spread around the league, because we need football. I mean, this is the best thing in the world right now, and we can't have it taken away from us by COVID.
It really is going to suck, and it would suck if it was like bigger name players like Derrick Henry or whatsoever. But hopefully this doesn't affect the league, league-wide. Hopefully they're able to come up with something. I wouldn't be surprised if they change up the bye weeks, which would be huge for fantasy. So that's why when it comes to start and sits, I didn't include anyone from the Vikings, Titans, or their opponents. And then honestly, if it wasn't for COVID, this would be the thing we'd be talking about. Earl Thomas, the train seems like it has stopped. Earl Thomas is going in for a workout with Houston. Do you think Earl's going to sign in Houston?
I think he will. I mean, there's no point not to. He wants to play football. Get him on the team.
Well, I would say the same thing, no doubt. A report came out this morning, though. The Houston workout has been postponed for reasons that Houston doesn't want to disclose in. And this isn't because of the COVID outbreak, because I don't believe, no one on the Texans or is affiliated with anything. This was something that was announced, I think, last night. So I wouldn't be surprised. I've heard some rumors floating around that it's because Jerry gave his agents a call, but I wouldn't bet on it. I think it's just delayed because maybe some personal issues came up. Earl's definitely going to Houston. But if Jerry did do something, Jerry, if you did, you corn pop, pull it off, please. But yeah, that's all the information for this week. Let's get into next week. Let's start off with starts and sits. Of course, your stud of the week. Who do you got?
I'm going with Ezekiel Elliott versus Cleveland. We saw Antonio Gibson last week get in for a touchdown. He had a pretty decent amount of rushing yards too versus Cleveland. Yeah. Put someone like the Cowboys and Zeke against the Browns. I think Zeke's going off for 30, 35 plus. We're going to see.
Yeah, I think a guy who's going to lead the pack for the second week in a row, Alvin Kamara, plays the Detroit Lions. Aaron Jones put up 45 against the Lions. I wouldn't be surprised if Kamara puts up another 40 bomb. But he's definitely going to be. He's already a must start, but he's going to be the best guy this week, in my opinion, no doubt. And then QBs, let's get into it. My start, Minshew. Minshew Mania kind of died out against Miami, but this week he plays Cincinnati. I like Jacksonville this week. I don't know if they're going to win it or not, but I feel like it's going to be a high-scoring game for 2 subpar offenses. And then sit, Tannehill. I remember I said earlier that I wasn't going to include any Titans player. If they do end up playing, sit Tannehill. If not, then I would probably end up sitting. Honestly, I'd probably end up sitting Stafford for the second week in a row, even though it didn't work out in my favor last week. And I have Kenny Galladay. I just don't like that. I like the Saints defense. Even though they haven't played great these past 2 weeks, they played against a high-powered offense, and the Raiders have looking really good. I don't like Matt Stafford again in New Orleans. What about you?
For my quarterbacks, I'm starting Drew Brees. It's time for him to have a good game. I mean, he's obviously a shorter route thrower, but I think he's going to get it down the field a lot versus the Lions. I mean, he's got Kamara in the backfield. Is Michael Thomas returning this week?
I don't think so. I don't think it could. Okay, it's possible. Well, it's questionable every week, but I'm pretty sure this will probably be his last week. If he's not in it.
Still have receiving options without Michael Thomas. I think Drew Brees finally will put up. I mean, a lot of people are sitting him right now because of how inconsistent, wishy-washy he's been, but he's probably going to put up a solid 20, 25 this week. I say you start him if he's on your bench. And my sit, I also had Ryan Tannehill. The Steelers have been locking down everybody, but with that whole COVID thing, are they gonna cancel games if it gets
It seems like they're gonna put they haven't announced anything, Tennessee or the NFL, but I would say the most likely thing here is any team that plays either the Vikings or the Titans, they're probably going to get a bye this week, and they're probably going to take byes away from other teams. So we're shooting this on the day that it's announced, so I'm sure they're trying to get everything figured out. So once that's happening, because you don't want to give teams that have been planning on a bye like 2 days before a game, hey, you're playing this week, not next week. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Running backs. I'm going to go high on the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. James Robinson. Who the hell is this guy and how is he so good? 20 points week 2, 30 points week 3. I think he puts up 25 to 30 again this week. Cincinnati is not a good defense at all. And I feel like this Jacksonville offense looks really good. And I think they're going to look really good this week. And then at sit, I got Antonio Gibson. He's a good streaming option here and there, and sometimes he has a breakout potential, but they play Baltimore this week. Football team is not a good team. You know, they won against Philly, but Philly looks like shit right now. So if you're trying to convince yourself or you're just being a homer, get Antonio Gibson out of your lineup right now.
Okay, well, I'm almost identical to yours, but I'm actually flipping that Jacksonville game, and I'm starting Mixon. Please break out this week, Mixon. Please break out this week.
Oh, you're not releasing him. You're not releasing him anymore?
This is the game. I'm starting in my flex this week. He's breaking out this week against the Jaguars. This is the perfect game for him to do it. He's putting up a solid 20 points at least this week. He's getting at least a touchdown. He's got to get at least one against the Jaguars.
I'll say this. If Mixon does not put up at least 20, if he puts up 18 even, if he doesn't put up at least 20 against this Jacksonville defense, panic. If you are a Mixon owner, panic. It does not look good.
We'll bring it down to 15. He needs a 15-point game to rejuvenate his owners because
15?
his highest is 12 this year. I mean, his owners are mad. I'm an owner. I'm getting mad at him. I'm getting to the point where he's pissing me off, and I'm about done with him.
I almost drafted him over Miles Sanders. Thank God I didn't. But wide receivers this week.
I gotta get my set. My set is Antonio Gibson versus the Ravens, same as yours.
Yeah,
terrible team going against a great team. Gibson's not going to be able to do much.
Yeah, my fault. Pretty obvious one there. This week against the wide receivers, let's let you start off. Who do you got as your start?
I'm going with Keenan Allen as my start versus the Tampa Bay's weak secondary. He put up 30 points last week. Keenan Allen is getting back to his old self last year, where he was just going off in the beginning, and I think he continues it versus Tampa Bay. I mean. What who did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play last week?
I believe, Denver. They played Denver. And here's the thing with Keenan Allen. Now, I was a Keenan Allen owner. I drafted him late in the rounds, and I started to look at his season. This year. The beginning of his season looks really nice. You look at him, it's like, ooh, Keenan Allen might put up 20 for me every single week. But then it starts to go down further into the season, and then you start to realize, oh shit. You got to play Kansas City twice. And even though he put up, I believe, like 15 against Kansas City, that was in L.A. You go to Kansas, it's a whole different monster. And Keenan Allen has never been a consistent and reliable wide receiver. That's why I don't usually put him in starts or sits, because you never fucking know.
Yeah, you're definitely right on that one. And for my sit, I'm going with Edelman versus Kansas City. Edelman put up 3 points last week versus the Raiders. And every time they play Kansas City.
Yeah.
It was what?
He put it, I believe it was 4.2.
It was like 3 or 4. Yeah, he did terrible.
It sucked. I hated it.
He's not enough. Kansas City always seems to lock him down when the Patriots play them. I think he's a sit this week. He had one great game, but he's definitely a sit.
And also, weird thing that Pat's secondary, I thought they were like going to be really good and coming into, but they're falling. It seems like I don't know where the hell happened to this. I don't know what the hell's happening.
Something's wrong with that defense.
At my start, I'm going to change it up a little bit. Devontae Parker. I feel like he is primed to have a good week. I almost debated putting Fitzmagic as my starting QB of the week because Seattle's defense is just that damn bad. But Devontae Parker is going to have a good week. I would bet on it. The Seattle secondary sucks. And then same with you. I got Jules. I feel like Jules is pretty much one of those guys that I'll only put him in for good matchups. But he's good to have on your bench, because there are those matchups where he could go off, getting the touchdown, because it does seem like Cam Newton could like him. I feel like just last game, it was just a running game was going off and you can't stop it. But yeah, definitely sit Jules this week against Kansas City. Tight ends, my start of the week. Put in Jared Cook. Jared Cook, I feel like is always a reliable tight end for me. I wanted to draft him, but he got away from me. I really like Jared Cook, and he's playing against Detroit. Yeah, I feel like he definitely is primed to have a good match. I would say probably around 15 would be really good for him. And then at my sit, I have Dallas Goedert. I wanted to put Ertz here, but Ertz is pretty much the only good receiver that they have that's healthy. So I'll go with Goddard here. He had a really good week 1, but he is being used as a blocker now. And I've heard that there are injury problems. I don't think it's anything real serious, so that's why I put him up here. So he'll probably end up being on limited snaps. So definitely sit him because they're probably not going to put him out there in the receiving or out there on the field. They don't want him getting hurt, so they're going to use that extra blocking because they really need it.
All right, well, my start for tight end, I'm going with Mark Andrews, who had a terrible 2 weeks in a row. His owners are probably panicking, but don't panic. He's playing Washington. Put him in. Feel safe about it, too. I mean, it's Mark Andrews. He's going to pick it up sooner or later. He was the number 1 receiving yard tight end, if I'm not mistaken, last year with Lamar Jackson, and I think he's going to have a great game versus Washington.
He had the most receiving touchdowns, I believe. I think he had 10.
Yeah.
He had 10, I believe.
That's what I was thinking of. And, I mean, feel safe about him versus Washington. I don't think he's going to drop passes like he was last night against them. I think he'll get some reps in practice and pick it up. And my sit is the Atlanta Falcons tight end Hayden Hurst going against Green Bay. When Jared Cook played Green Bay, he did nothing. He got like 2 receptions, so they've been locking up tight ends. I think take out Hayden Hurst, and there's so many weapons on Atlanta Falcons. There's just not enough targets to go around to Hayden.
Yeah, and then kicker, probably going to breeze through this, but rookie kicker over there in Indiana, Rodrigo Blankenship, is going off right now, and even though the matchup isn't the best out of all matchups, I still like Rodrigo Blankenship. He's putting up, I think, at least 8 every single day, every single week for Indiana so far, so I really like Rodrigo Blankenship, and then you sat him last week, I'm sitting him this week. Nick Folk, he is inconsistent. I feel like this Kansas City, this Pats offense is going to either score a touchdown or they're going to be punting a lot. I feel like Kansas Pats are going to be punting a lot, unless Cam proves me wrong. Unless Cam proves me wrong and
this
he
will be the
decides to
game
wake
to
up
do
that
it
arm.
too against Kansas City.
It really would, but I don't feel like Nick Folk will end up having a good week. But this could be one of those matchups where I can be proven dead wrong.
Yeah. With my kickers, I'm going with Gostkowski. Like, please pick him up. Please pick him up if he's available in your league. Get a waiver on him, add him, whatever. He's playing Pittsburgh, so you know the Titans are going to be kicking field goals. Pittsburgh's defense in the red zone. I mean, it's hard to get it in the end zone.
Yeah, but the Titans aren't going to be playing this week.
They're not playing at all?
They probably won't be. I mean, they've halted. I think they said they're not letting players into facilities until Saturday, so they're probably going to end up being put on a bye this week.
Okay, well then disregard that. My sit is going to be Zane Gonzalez versus Carolina. I think the Cardinals are going to be just punching in the end zone. He's not going to have too many field goal opportunities. He's going to be kicking extra points, but he's not going to put up super big numbers.
Yeah,
you can play him if you want.
Yeah, they would have to score 10 touchdowns. And Zane Gonzalez is my guy, but I'm definitely dropping him this week for my guy Rodrigo Blankenship. And then defense every single week, unless it is a top tier defense, stream whoever plays the Jets. The Jets are horrible. They are banged up, and before then they were still horrible. Broncos, stream them. They're the Thursday night football. If no one has them, get the Broncos off the waiver wire. I believe someone in our league already has them. But, yeah, Broncos, start of the week, no doubt, against the Jets. And then Miami versus Seattle, of course. They're letting Russ cook, and he is cooking. He's cooking up fucking the Thanksgiving meal, and he is really going to tear up this Miami defense.
I have the exact same start. I mean, it's the Jets. You saw what the Colts did. There's no way you can – not want to play whoever's going against the Jets.
I'm praying Noah Fant can go off.
Yeah, and with my defense, I'm sitting the Raiders defense versus the Buffalo Bills. I mean, you could go with the obvious choice in Seattle-Miami game, but Buffalo has been amazing on offense lately. I mean, they picked it up late in that game. Josh Allen is putting up MVP numbers. I'm sitting the Raiders.
And then want to add a little bit something new before we get into our games here. Waiver wire pickups. These are guys that are under 50% owned in leagues through the NFL app. So if these guys are on the waiver wire, pick them up because they are seeing a higher amount of snaps, whether it's injuries or just they're performing better. I'm going to start off with my running back. 47.2% owned in all leagues. Plays the Giants this week. Darrell Henderson. He has gotten, I believe, 19 in week 2 and then 21 in week 3. He's been seeing the higher snap count. At first, Malcolm Brown was seeming like that guy when he had that one game against Dallas, but he's really taken the back seat. Darrell Henderson seems to be the guy that they're running with while Cam Akers is out on injury, and I don't see them playing Cam Akers. That's why I don't have him here. I don't see them playing Cam Akers because why try to re-injure a committee back? So I say they probably give him a lot of limited snaps or just don't play him at all. Darrell Henderson, pick this guy up because if McKinnon and that other guy on San Fran can put up 15 each, I wouldn't be surprised if Henderson puts up 20 and Malcolm Brown sprinkles in like a 10 or a 15 piece.
Yeah, I actually had Darrell Henderson too. He's been very consistent those past 2 weeks. He's playing the Giants. Tough not to play him. I mean, pick him up. He's less than 50% owned. Not a lot of people are caring about him too much. So go ahead and get him if you need somebody on your bench, and you can plug him in this week versus the Giants.
At wide receiver, 17% owned in all league, playing against Houston this week. Just had a huge, huge game. One of the top wide receiver performances in the of the week last week. Justin Jefferson for the Vikings. I think Kirk Cousins is starting to like his second option. And I think the Vikings have found their Stephon Diggs replacement because Jefferson went crazy. He went off. And this isn't a piss poor Titans secondary. I mean, they have guys who can get it done, and he just torched them. He was just getting it done. I don't feel like he'll put up 30 again, but Justin Jefferson is definitely a good guy. If your wide receiver 2 is injured or you need a guy to flex, pick up Justin Jefferson because he is not owned in barely any of the leagues.
Okay, I have a guy that's really similar. That low percentage owned is around like 15 or 16. I'm going with Allen Lazard. He got a lot of deep targets from Rodgers in that game. I mean, he was getting a lot of targets, and I think he'll continue it. He's playing Atlanta. We've seen what's happening with Atlanta. A lot of shootouts, a lot of late game comebacks, throwing the ball late in the game. So pick up Allen Lazard and put him in your flex this week.
And then at QB, the lowest ownage percentage here, 3.7% owned. He plays Seattle. I didn't put him at my start, but I know I had to put him in my waiver wires. Pick up Fitzmagic. Fitzmagic had a great game against Jacksonville. I feel like he'll be a good stream this week. If you really do desperately need a stream, you're willing to take a risk here. If you are, do it with Fitzmagic because I feel like even though he might get an interception or two because even Dak had a couple of interceptions, even though the last one at the end doesn't really say much about his whole game. I feel like he'll probably end up getting an interception or two, but still, I think Devontae Parker is finding the end zone a lot. I think Gesicki might be able to find the end zone a lot. So yeah, Fitzmagic, definitely, especially with how low his ownage percentage is. I feel like he's the best pickup out of any QB.
Yeah, I'm actually going with Jared Goff. I mean, it's surprising me how low his owning percentage is. He's been very consistent. I think he put up 27 last week, 20 in week 2, like around 15 in week 1. That's super consistent numbers from a quarterback if you need somebody, if you're hit by the injury bug. I mean, Goff, playing the Giants, he's a good pickup.
Yeah, no doubt. And then let's get into our games so we can end this off here. Broncos, Jets, Thursday Night Football. Obvious, if you pick the Jets to win, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Jets go 0-16.
We're getting terrible Thursday night games lately. Like, I just don't even have interest to watch Thursday night anymore. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, Broncos are going to eat. The only reason I'm going to watch the Broncos is so I can watch Noah Fant put up 30. Yeah. But Vikings, Houston seem to be the best 1 o'clock game. Who do you got? I got Houston winning this game. Who do you got?
I'm gonna take Vikings. Houston, they don't have enough weapons on offense, honestly.
I don't know. I'll say this. If Houston ends up playing against the Vikings, because even though, the whole COVID thing, if they do end up playing against them, this will be the best 1 o'clock game because there's not really much to choose from. So I had to put these guys in here. And then 4 o'clock, Pats Chiefs. Your guys are going to get eaten up. I feel like it could have potential to be a really good game. But I mean, if Mahomes can put up 40 points against that Baltimore defense, I mean, Belichick's going to have to fucking ignite a fire in that secondary for them to finally wake up.
Yeah, I'll go with the Chiefs there. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like people think it's going to be with the Chiefs versus Patriots. Patriots are putting up a fight on offense lately. Their offense has been very good. Chiefs don't have too great of a defense. I mean, it's above average, definitely, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'll take the Chiefs winning by like 9, 9,
Yeah.
10.
And back on that thing with Mixon earlier, it's bad when Rex Burkhead has put up more points in 1 week than you have in your first 3 weeks.
Your
So
entire,
yeah,
it's
pretty much.
sad.
And then the Sunday night game. I don't know why in the world they thought this was going to be a good Sunday night game. San Francisco versus Philly. Jesus. San Fran is going to eat Philly alive. Now that I'm considering that it's a primetime game, just because of that, they probably won't end up benching Carson Wentz. Throw for your 8th interception in 4 weeks, Wentz. I feel like they should bench him, but I wouldn't be surprised if Wentz just automatically pulls a no interception, but just a poorly passing game out of his ass. San Fran is definitely winning this, though. I feel like it's going to be a battle of the running backs. I wouldn't be surprised if
I'll
Miles
take San
Sanders.
Fran in that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Miles Sanders could pull something out because San Fran, I don't think they've played any really, really good running backs, but I wouldn't bet too much on it. And then Monday night, Falcons, Packers. This is going to be a shootout, or at least the Falcons are going to want to shoot out because I don't feel like this matchup is good enough for them to blow another damn lead for the 3rd week in a row. But yeah, if Devontae Adams is in, I mean, obviously I feel like it's going to give the Packers even more points, but like you said earlier, Alan Lazard is a really good pickup if you need him. Packers offense is looking unstoppable right now. Yeah, definitely Packers in this one.
Dude, in that one, I'm thinking of taking the Falcons, dude. I'm thinking of taking the Falcons, man. I think it's their week. They've been playing great in the first half, man. They just got to keep the lead. Packers, man, their offense is good, but
it would be one thing if
I'll take the underdog.
I would be less doubtful if you were just saying that, oh, everyone's doubting them because of the immaculate comeback that Dallas made. But you let Chicago come back from what was it, like a 16-point deficit? I mean, they need to fire Dan Quinn. And they've been playing, which will give them the benefit of the doubt. Cowboys are a high-powered offense. That is the only strength to this team right now is their offense and their weapons. But Chicago is not an high-powered offense. They got Allen Robinson, David Montgomery, and a washed Jimmy Graham, and of course now Big Dick Nick. But you can't do that, especially against a not high-caliber offense. If you're able to do that against the Bears, how the fuck do you expect to win a game against the Packers? With how good they've been playing. But,
I just have a feeling in my gut the Falcons are winning that one. I don't know why.
Yeah, but a lot of stuff happened, a lot of stuff to talk about this week. Wrapping it up here. Thank you guys for watching. Of course, if you like the video, like it, sub. Thank you for getting us to 50 subs.
100 subs next.
Road to 100 already started. But yeah, as always, thank you guys for watching. Peace.